full-time lorry mechanic.
Oh dear.
And part-time adventurer Guy Martin has been exploring Russia.
We loved it, didn't we? We loved it. We all liked it.
The last leg of his 10,000-mile journey brings him to the former Soviet Republic that is now the biggest country in Europe.
Where are we? We're in Ukraine.
It's home to one of the deadliest places on Earth. For a thrill-seeking explorer like Guy, that makes it irresistible.
I like pushing my luck. Where can we go? We thought while we're in this neck of the woods, we'll have a look at Chernobyl power station.
The Chernobyl power station was the pride of Soviet Union engineering that became the biggest nuclear accident in history.
We all know it, don't we? One of the class it as a Category 7 nuclear disaster, 400 times worse than Hiroshima. And this explosion, what was it? April of 26, 1986. What's that, 32 years ago? Surely we're all right to go and have a look now. Surely we are. But, as I'm hearing, no it's not.
The radiation levels here will be harmful for at least 20,000 years. But that's not going to stop Guy exploring every corner of the exclusion zone and the record-breaking engineering that is trying to make Chernobyl safe.
That is massive.
He'll go to the very heart of the deadly reactor.
This whole thing exploded.
Meet the heroes who survived the original accident.
Есть степень риска, что тебя ты осознанно шли на это дело.
Work alongside the people who risk it all today.
We like a bit of this, don't we?
And discover the residents who secretly live in this nuclear hotspot. The whole time Guy is here, he'll be at risk of radioactive contamination.
You wouldn't smell it, you wouldn't taste it, you wouldn't feel it. That's the real deal.
So come on, we need to go and have a look. Go suss the job out.
In 1978, celebrations at the opening of Chernobyl's No. 4 reactor.
The small town of Chernobyl was a high-tech showcase for the USSR. Its nuclear power station was based on weapons technology from the Soviet Union's Ministry of Medium Machine Building. And its 4 reactors provided cheap power for 30 million apartments.
IBM K1000, that was the model of the reactor. You know, all it was there to do was to heat water, really.
The steam produced drove a turbine that generated electricity like a conventional power station. But instead of burning coal or gas, it harnessed the heat given off from splitting atoms.
Except there was a fundamental flaw in the design.
Amid the euphoria and tributes, nobody mentioned that substandard materials, banned in other parts of the country, had been used in the construction.
Compared to Western designs, the Soviet reactor was cheaper, easier to make, more powerful, but had fewer safety features. And at 1:23 a.m. on April the 26th, 1986, during a routine safety test, the fatal flaw was exposed.
Slowing the reactor down, all went a bit pear-shaped. The throttle jammed wide open, and the whole reactor was out of control, putting out 120 times what it should have been. Something's broken, something's jammed up, and then it's just gone. Can we say kaboom? We'll say kaboom. The biggest nuclear disaster ever.
This is the only photograph that exists from the morning of the explosion. The grainy image is a result of radiation passing through the glass camera lens and hitting the film.
As the cloud of radiation grows, radiation levels in at least half a dozen countries are 3 to 20 times above normal.
Now, Cumbria, they only stopped testing sheep for Chernobyl radiation in 2012.
In northern Ukraine, the consequences are still being dealt with 32 years later.
This is the most contaminated place on Earth.
Chernobyl is surrounded by an exclusion zone, 1,000 square miles, an area the size of Derbyshire, is cut off from everyday life. Before Guy can start exploring it, he needs some training.
This is our contamination survey meter. This will measure radioactive energy.
Okay, yeah.
Ian Thomas is a former Sergeant Major with the Army's Chemical, Biological, Radiation and Nuclear Regiment. It's his job to keep Guy safe.
I know you're a bit of a wanderer.
I do like a bit of a
Probably, aren't you? You could be in there wandering and stood being next to someone that's frying your nuts.
Right, okay.
And
Hey, I'm all right. I filled a pram, so that's all right. That job's done. Boy. That job's done.
so what you'll have is this personal electronic dosimeter. It will warn you if you are in an area that's too high.
Right.
So if that alarms, the first thing you'll feel is my hand on your shoulder pulling you away, okay? Right, and if you don't move, the next thing you'll feel is something different around your arse area.
Hey, you're not messing about, are you?
Don't become blasé. You won't smell it, you won't taste it, you won't feel it.
We're not messing it here, are we? This is Yeah.
Guy and his team make their way to Chernobyl for the first time.
Information centre. Hang on. Souvenir shop. Souvenir shop.
С паспортами, Дим, с паспортами.
This is Ditiaki, the main checkpoint on the edge of the exclusion zone, 18 miles from the power station, used mainly by maintenance workers. Ukraine has been funding an expensive war against pro-Russian supporters in the east, so a tourist trade to boost finances is welcome, but entry is strictly by pre-arranged permit.
Get my passport checked.
As in the Soviet era, all bureaucracy is treated seriously.
Cheers, mate. Cat.
Once through, there's a further 30-minute drive to the centre.
We are in Chernobyl. We're in Chernobyl, boys.
This is the town that gave the power station its name. 14,000 people used to live here, but now it's just a handful who helped decommission the plant. On the outskirts at least, the radiation levels are low.
What are we reading? What are we worried about? Same as Grimsby.
Some workers look after sites like this memorial garden. Every sign represents not a person, but an entire village. 146 were abandoned.
Nature has taken over the job, hasn't it?
Where else in the world would you see an open back truck with radioactive waste in it?
There is a second checkpoint 6 miles from the power station. Every document is scrupulously verified once again. As they get closer to the power station, the radiation levels rise.
Yeah, she's going up, boy. She's going up. Oh, yeah.
The background radiation is now around 24 times higher than in the UK.
You can see the power station. That is massive.
Reactor 4 is now entombed within a protective shroud to try and contain its leaking radiation. Today, a Belgian photography club is visiting.
All right. All right. What brought you to Chernobyl?
Curiosity, yeah,
What do you think?
it's incredible.
Yeah,
It's
we were all
amazing.
thinking the same.
We've only been here for a day and it's terrible. I mean, we come from the middle of the war zone of World War I. If we see this, it's even worse. It makes you shiver.
But I'm not seeing it like that. I come here and I think, oh, it's amazing. And that is the largest land-based movable object in the world.
Technically, it's something to be proud of.
Hey, thanks for talking. Thank you. Have a good trip. Cheers.
The remains of the world's worst nuclear disaster have become one of the most complex engineering projects ever undertaken. Guy is about to go to its very centre.
Not too far.
Guy Martin is in Chernobyl, exploring the disaster zone 32 years after the biggest nuclear accident in history. The 2-second explosion caused a 9-day fire that released contamination into the atmosphere. It became particularly concentrated in vegetation. Even today, a small dead leaf is still radioactive.
Right, so here we go then. Right, that's telling us around about 100 counts per second of radiation energy coming off that. Radiation energy is in three different sources: alpha, beta, and gamma.
Alpha and beta are both particles, while gamma is a wave of pure energy. Each damages human cells, but can be stopped by different materials.
So if we put a bit of paper over there, alpha particles can't get through that. So if we put that on there, so that's saying we've probably lost about 20 odd counts per second of energy. So the remaining 80 counts per second are either beta particles or gamma rays. So we'll put this fella on, which he's got a bit of metal in there, you see that? We'll put this fella on here, right? And if we do the same again, we've lost a fair bit there, haven't we? Yeah, we've lost the thick end of 50% here. The only thing getting through is gamma rays. And gamma rays they're the daddy, really. You don't mess with gamma rays. And that's going through all of us as we're here now. Yeah.
Only thick lead or concrete will stop gamma rays, which is why nuclear reactors in the West were built within containment shelters. But the Soviet Union said their reactor was safe enough to install in Red Square, so left the power station exposed. But now the contaminated remains have to be hidden within a shield the size of Wembley Stadium. It's called the New Safe Confinement, a 10-year, £2 billion project funded by 50 different countries hoping to finally make Chernobyl safe. Guy is here for a privileged tour inside one of the world's most hazardous building sites. Even the offices have a radiation detector.
Yeah, let's go that.
Coordinator Simon Evans is from the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development.
I was working for government previously, based in Moscow. Coming.
So you put the arch over, and now the game is to dismantle all of this.
Yes.
The site has around 4,000 workers, and the biggest challenge has been keeping them safe. One solution is the lead bunker T-hut.
You'd think you was down any factory. Yeah, it's just the same. No one sort of fretting, looking every 5 minutes, goes, you know, I'm getting nuked. Steady away, the job's getting done.
The breach reactor is so radioactive they couldn't build the shield in situ. Instead, it was constructed 300 metres away, where the radiation dose was more acceptable.
The further away it was built, the lower radiation dose for workers got, so you get more workers on site for longer periods of time. The closer you got, the more difficult it is, the more contamination they get. That was basically considered
the further away
optimum.
you was, the harder you could work.
Once complete, the 36,000-ton structure, 5 times the weight of the Eiffel Tower, was slid into position on Teflon rails.
It took 14 days total sliding.
Synchronising both sides together.
It was a fairly epic achievement, I have to say.
Yeah.
A concrete shield would have been impossibly heavy to construct. While the stainless steel arch should last for 100 years, it can't prevent highly penetrative gamma rays from escaping. The next part of Guy's exploration will take him on a survey to show the extent of the radiation up a staircase that's taller than the Statue of Liberty.
Can we go right to the top?
Yep.
Safety Inspector Sergey will chaperone Guy.
Очень быстро. Подъем будет непростой. Высота более 100 метров. Плюс это посередине подъема должен будет повышаться, но потом при ухудшении самочувствия, если вы почувствуете себя плохо, сразу говорите, мы вернемся обратно.
Right, let's get cracking. You're not going up it every day?
No, every day.
No?
No,
How often?
Of course no. Because the first is a very high dose radiation.
Yes.
It's not good place.
A contamination monitor will measure the dose rate at each stage of the climb. In the UK, this would read around 0.25.
6.
It's not bad, 60. Yeah, well, I'd say 90 or 100.
Okay, let's go.
It's 400 times higher than UK background radiation.
Are you okay?
Yeah, okay. Let's check it again. Yeah, 120.
You see? More.
Yeah, big, yeah. That's strong. The turbine house is about here, I think, isn't it? That's the worst bit.
Guy is now at the same height as the breached reactor inside. The level reaches nearly 900 times higher than UK background radiation.
216, that's what that said there.
Don't stop. How many?
Oh, it's not so bad, it's 80.
Can I see?
80. Yeah, it's good, it's come down now.
Oh. Okay, relax.
40. Yeah, 40. Okay. Oh, we're here.
Mission complete.
Thank you.
This only in minutes because under it's a reactor.
Very bad.
Those.
Yeah. What a view, eh? What a view.
Okay, let's go.
Honestly, you do not feel a thing. Nothing.
What's inside the arch is lethal. But behind 4 sets of lead-lined doors is also one of the greatest feats of emergency engineering of all time.
Thickness of them doors.
This is what the authorities called the object shelter. A pile of steel blocks hurriedly stacked on top of the leaking reactor by local labourers after the explosion.
Just cobbled it together. Whereas, yeah, you haven't got a lot of choice. This was for one purpose and one purpose only, was to keep the radiation in.
You couldn't bolt it, weld it, because the radiation levels were simply crazy.
Yeah.
The job those guys did was unimaginably heroic.
The workers would do a 5-minute shift before leaving and then destroying their clothing. Most radiation was at the top, near the hole in the reactor. It's still the worst.
Not too far.
A cameraman is sent to a platform to view it for a maximum of 1 minute. Occasional white specks of radiation show up on the footage, as the level here is 895 microsieverts, 4 times the highest reading outside.
Standing by for Guy.
When I go through, where am I looking? Straight on.
Straight over.
So I'll go through there. I'll see you in a bit, mate. Thank you.
So far on the trip, Guy has been exposed to more radiation, so he's only permitted to stay for 20 seconds.
Yeah, we're all beeping, mate.
When you start deconstruction, you take the roof off of the old sarcophagus in there. The level of radiation inside there will become impossible for men to work. He's got to be remote handling.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're going. We're going, mate, we're going. Yeah. It's worth seeing that, wasn't it? Worth seeing that.
Dismantling the shelter will take decades and will be done by robotic cranes operated from a workshop situated in the roof of the arch. It's lead-lined and protected from the gamma rays a few meters away.
Next to no radiation at all. Yeah.
Few people have ever dared venture into the so-called sarcophagus. The radiation levels are suicidal. But one man has surveyed the molten core known as the Elephant's Foot. so that the dismantling engineers know what to expect. These are the radiation-riddled pictures of scientific photographer Sergei Koshilev.
Not many people alive can say they've seen it, but you've seen the elephant's foot. What's it like?
Ну, судовая нога — это скопление топлива, которое после аварии растекалось после реактора. Вниз под реактором — это смесь бетона, металла, ну, ядерного топлива. Таки буквально там 1-2 минуты, и успел заскочить, заснял.
Do you have a dosimeter on?
Там было вплотную до земли, мерили прибором 300 рентген было в час.
Rungens, named after the man who first produced X-rays, measure gamma radiation. A brief dose of 300 isn't fatal, but it will destroy white blood cells.
You're looking well. You look well.
Как говорил мой шеф, говорит, советская радиация самая лучшая в мире, бывший шеф. Повышает волосатость и потенцию.
Good man. Soviet radiation's all right. Спасибо. Большое спасибо.
The Chernobyl death toll is unclear. There are estimates that up to 90,000 people may have died of an illness related to the accident. 2 workers died immediately in the explosion, but only 1 body was recovered. 29 people died from radiation sickness in the 3 months that followed. The control room where some of those people worked, just 20 meters from the exploding reactor, is derelict. But the rest of the plant kept producing power up until 2000. The 4 reactor holes were identical, with the tops of the fuel and control rods visible.
Yeah, the nuclear reaction happens below this lot. Yeah, we're stood on top of it, and this whole thing exploded. Yeah. You're never going to be able to see a nuclear power station up close like this again. Never. Yeah, I'm not going to be forgetting it in a hurry.
While the power plant is the scene of complete renewal, the rest of the exclusion zone remains abandoned. 2 miles away is the ghost city of Pripyat. It was an atomograd, a nuclear city built for the workers, where the average age was 26. Life was privileged, without the chronic food shortages experienced in the rest of the USSR. But the day before a new fun fair was due to open, the reactor exploded.
Day and a half later, Moscow ordered Pripyat, where we are now, to be evacuated. So they sent 1,200 buses in. Within a couple of hours, they got 50,000 people out. It just says, take enough gear with you to last a couple of 3 days and you'll be back. We'll have the job sorted. They never came back.
The secretive Soviet government tried to cover up the catastrophic accident, making the KGB cut all the phone lines in the area. News only leaked out when a radiation detector went off at a power plant near Stockholm.
Hang on, we've had no problems in our power station in Sweden. What's gone on here? Made a few phone calls, had a look at the direction of the wind and all this sort of gubbins. Chernobyl's had a bit of bother. Yeah, and then Moscow had to sort of hold their hands up. Sorry. Reactor 4's gone kaboom.
Rescue workers were not allowed to spend more than 90 seconds on the site.
The cleanup was done by a brave group of local volunteers and military personnel known as the liquidators.
Lads that was in the thick of it was changing their eyes from brown to blue. You know, the radiation was hefty. And there was equipment around, bloody lead caps and lead kecks. Well, that wasn't doing a deal of good, really, not when you was in and about reactor 4. That was it. Get them out, let them die, sticking them in lead coffins, welding them up, burying them. That's what they was doing.
One liquidator who survived is Vladimir Belus. To this day, he avoids standing on the grass.
Дмитрий, скажи, что туда не надо, вот по асфальту. Что даже робототехника вот эта, она отказывала, не смогла, электроника отказывала, не смогли, поэтому были, как говорится, задеяны биороботы. Это военнослужащие вооруженных сил.
So did you feel as a bit of a martyr, you know, as a bit of a kamikaze?
Есть степень риска, что тебя при боевых действиях могут ранить, убить. Так и здесь осознанно шли на это дело.
But you look a fit man now. Have you had any after effects?
Нужно верить в Господа Бога, Он поможет.
Well, he obviously has. You look a fit man.
Dealing with the aftermath grew into an international effort, finally bringing the West and the USSR together.
They said that was one of the straws on the camel's back that was the beginning of the end for the Soviet Union.
Within 5 years, the Soviet Union had dissolved and Ukraine became an independent country. Guy's next stop is the exclusion zone wilderness and the workers whose job it is to prevent another Chernobyl disaster.
Все вы знаете, недавно нас постигла беда. Авария на Чернобыльской атомной электростанции.
Guy Martin is exploring the further reaches of Chernobyl's 1,000 square mile exclusion zone. Radiation has polluted it unevenly, and in some areas nature is said to be flourishing.
Like a caravan tea towel holder. Isn't it?
To find out more, Guy visits the ad hoc lab set up in an abandoned house by Professor Tim Musso.
You know, when they walk by eventually, they'll trigger the camera.
An evolutionary biologist who's been studying the local ecology for 15 years.
You know, the impression that we're given that anywhere in and about Chernobyl is like the Garden of Eden. You know, it's brimming with animals and they're thriving. Is that the case?
There's an element of truth to it. The animals are doing much better than if there were normal hunting pressures.
Okay.
Most of the other mammals that we've looked at show a pretty steep drop-off in the more radioactive areas. And the ones that we do find in the radioactive areas have much higher rates of tumors and smaller brains.
You are doing some research.
These are some insects that occur commonly here. They're called firebugs.
Right.
And this shows the variation in abnormalities.
So this would be dead normal?
Pretty normal.
As you would see somewhere else in the world. And then
this totally messed up.
Yeah, so it's altering the sort of hardwired DNA.
Indeed.
Chernobyl's wild dogs are a vital part of Tim's research. Descended from the pets that were left behind during the evacuation, over the last year, he has tagged 500 with dosimeters. With the help of a local vet, today's aim is to catch some.
Hey up, this man wants to be on the telly.
Learning how animals deal with prolonged exposure to radiation could be of interest to astronauts.
You know, one of the biggest hazards associated with space travel is this massive dose of radiation you get while you're in space. We discovered fairly early on that nobody had done this kind of research before.
2 sedated dogs are now ready to have their dosimeters removed.
So this is with the crystals that's been gathering all the radiation information.
Crystals in there.
And sent back to the lab for analysis.
Hey up, mate. You're all right, mate.
Multiple visits will be needed to chart their health over time.
Yep, good. Okay.
These boys are whack up with a thick head, weren't they? What did we do last night?
He's waking up.
Yeah. What's happening, mate?
Hey, buddy. Yeah. Good boy. Do you think you can climb the tree?
yeah, I'm all right. Tree climbing, mate.
Okay.
I look like a plonker with me camera on my head.
Yeah.
More of a plonker.
Tim has one other task for Guy to help with out in the field. Fixing new camera traps in the most notorious radiation hotspot of all, the so-called Red Forest.
And you know, in some of these areas, a millisievert an hour is the dose that you would get, which is if you spend 3 hours in the Red Forest, you get a whole year's worth of natural radiation.
less than a mile from the power plant. Wind blew radiation in this direction, and its effects can still be seen.
So, you know, these are Scots pines. Normally, they go straight up and down, but look at these trees. They're all strangely bent. We try not to spend too much time in these really hot areas.
What Guy is doing is not recommended.
He's gonna have to wash his hands when he's done. Okay, don't fall out of the tree.
Right, do you think you can pass the camera up to us then? And then...
Yep, it's coming.
Cheers, mate. Right, okay, that way up.
Yeah, it looks good. There you go.
On the way down, Guy rips his overalls.
Yeah.
He has to be immediately scanned.
Sorry, boy. Sorry that.
On this occasion, it seems he's got away with it.
I wasn't going to climb that tree, so I'm very, very grateful that you climbed that tree for us. Absolutely.
Well, if I could do anything to help the cause at all, well, then I feel honoured. So, yeah, thank you.
Unfortunately, 6 weeks after his visit, the camera Guy put up was destroyed in a forest fire. Fires are surprisingly common here, and usually dealt with by a team who also welcome Guy, the Forest Rangers. Sasha Zubko is the ranger boss in the village of Parishiv.
Where are we going? Up here?
He and Guy are on their way to a rescue.
Давай, друг! Давай.
Yeah.
The ranger's tractor has a puncture.
With a blowout, mate. With a blowout. Go up that, sorry.
They're in the far east of the exclusion zone, 3 miles from the Belarus border, in an area that absorbed most of the radiation after the explosion.
Yeah, I've got mate.
Now the radiation has decayed to lower levels. The rangers choose not to wear any protective clothing.
We like a bit of this, don't we? Still talking about it, I'd rather be doing it.
There's no jack, so the forest rangers simply improvise one.
Don't fart near it. Space it up so we can lift it up on the 3-point linkage.
The new inner tube is stuffed inside, and brute force completes the repair.
Yeah, do what you have to do with the gear you've got. Mint.
The tractor can go back to ploughing furrows between the trees.
It's a fire road. So if the fire comes up to that point there, it's not going to spread at ground level across. That's the idea.
Forest fires release radiation back into the atmosphere. They occur every couple of weeks. Sometimes started by a discarded bottle magnifying the sun's rays. Sometimes for other reasons.
What's the main cause of a forest fire?
This 12-man team is glad of some help. They have to look after 185 square miles of woods, an area bigger than 100 shade forests. These fire breaks are essential. The official Chernobyl fire service is at least an hour away, with trucks that are a 30-year-old design. The rangers are left to fight the fire with what few resources they have.
When was the last time you had a big fire?
Ну, взагалі-то значна була в 2015 році. Дуже велика пожежа. Згоріло 10 тисяч гектар. Ну, дето до місяця ми ліквідовували.
My God. They're saying in the woods, in like the red forest, you get up to 1,000 microsieverts. Does this not worry you? You know, the radiation?
Ну, от сказати, саме більше, ну, так сказати, що у зоні ж саме більша кількість це лісу.
Hey, fair play. Hey, thanks very much.
Давай.
Cheers, mate. Good man. Thank you.
The Rangers' traditional early warning system is a man at the top of a 50-metre observation tower. The wage for this job is £60 a month. There is no training. When it burns, we learn, goes the saying.
Bit of a bed. Bit of a bed up here. You can feel her moving. She's moving, fairish boy.
Nowadays, remote-controlled CCTV cameras are being introduced. They provide a view of the entire area and also reveal the place Guy will investigate next. A Chernobyl landmark the Soviet Union hoped to keep a secret. In 1976, a powerful shortwave signal suddenly appeared on the airwaves. It was strong enough to disrupt radio and TV broadcasts and became known as the woodpecker.
This is the Russian Duga. You know, this was for the Cold War.
It was a giant radar, built close to Chernobyl because it required an enormous amount of power. It's 1 kilometre long and 150 metres high.
How many man-hours have been put into that? How many tons of steel? How many cubes of concrete have they used to build that? My God.
The Duga bounced its radio waves off the stratosphere to detect long-range nuclear missiles launched from beyond the horizon. In 1989, the signal was switched off. The Cold War was over. The Soviet army moved out, but the thieves moved in.
Yeah, she's been looted a time or two by the looks of it. It must be the computer power for what powered the early warning system.
One of Chernobyl's biggest problems is salvagers illegally removing scrap metal.
Coppers have been known to be sifting round car boot sales with a Geiger counter, testing for radioactive metal, and we know where that's come from, mates. Right. Come with me, please. Come with me.
The authorities have been clamping down by beefing up the Chernobyl border patrols. And today, they're going to get further reinforcement.
All right, I'm Guy. Victor. Nice to meet you. Victor, nice to meet you. All right. Trick. The can-am wants a graze nipples grazing. I can't talk to them. They can't talk to me. They don't want to let on any of the secrets of securing the Chernobyl border. But they're going to let me ride with them. Oh, it's mint. I get to ride a bike. I'm in.
Guy's joining one of the regular patrols along a 25-mile section of the eastern border. Most trespassers are found around abandoned buildings like this old fire station.
I would doubt very few people have done trials riding around these parts.
It's the perfect place to hide. Although 32 years of dilapidations means the threat of falling concrete is far more hazardous than radiation.
We didn't find anyone, but people have been found. Last week they arrested one man from Russia, one man from Kazakhstan, a lot of boys from Europe last year. Yeah, they've arrested Brits. I wouldn't want to get arrested over here, would you? I won't. But they had more problems from these computer games. Because there is a game called Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl. That causes a bit of bother because people come and want to see where they've been fighting on the computer game.
But not all trespassers are computer gamers. For his final visit, Guy must leave the border patrol behind. He's off to find the people inside Chernobyl.
Thank you very much.
Living in secret.
Mint job. Mint job.
People first first settled in Chernobyl in the 12th century, but since the evacuation 32 years ago, the countryside has been left deserted. But if you know where to look, you can find small pockets of defiance.
Yeah, it's out of the way, isn't it? It's out of the way. I won't be against it.
Guy's trying to find one of the 200 people who have decided to live in the exclusion zone and ignore the radiation.
Oh, the well. Just hang on a minute. We'll go sound, won't we? We'll see what you reckon. 2 minutes.
Що ти хочеш, скажи?
Machina camera. Come on, you can come in. I think we're all right.
This is 79-year-old Maria, a Ukrainian baba or grandmother. Maria worked on a collective farm managed by the Communist Party. Initially, only the center of Chernobyl was evacuated. Everyone else was told to carry on farming.
Сорвалося 26 квітня. Між на посівну ще ж у колгосп входимо, кажуть, аварія в Прип'яті, пожар, аварія, що ми знаємо. А нас виселили 4 мая.
Maria moved back in the year after the explosion. She just wanted to go home. She raised 2 sons who now work in local factories.
Do you like it here? I mean, there's no water, you've no electric.
Ну, як же не подобається на родині? Це ж родина моя. Як же мені не подобається? Де ж мені, я ж тут знаю, де який кущик вирос. Пойде сяде, у баби вже ноги болять, а ви говорите.
Babas have a reputation for being forceful and fearless.
Сядь, тепер сядь, коло мене, ти будеш мені калібора, сядь. Сядь, о, молодець, хто такий сидів. Так от туди ж гляди куди-небудь, що ж ти наглайся на низ.
I'm not into looking at cameras, love. Hey.
Rather than continuing the interview, she insists Guy fixes her sticky gate.
Oh, good lass. Good lass. Oh, bloody hell, you got some tackle in here. It's like my granddad's shed. Bloody hell, you're short a note. What's that? That's an angular bearing, that. What have you been using that for?
Говори, скільки хочеш.
Never.
Ага.
You have.
То з трактора, дід колись на тракторі був.
Good lass. Hey, I think these will do the job. Well, you got it.
With help from some of his crew, the repair can begin.
Don't worry, lass, it's happening. You should reckon get your bloody nuts tapping on either leg. That's when you've got the rhythm right. That says your Chernobyl drop off. Well, that's that.
Straight now, isn't it?
Та не там була посрати зараз.
Translate, is that them useless English bricks?
Ти зробиш таке, що ще побудеш хуже.
She said she's happy with it, who it is. Leave it. All right, Doc.
Maria's had enough and takes the lorry mechanic and 2 former Royal Marines to task.
Don't blame stupid. Don't blame. I know.
But there are no hard feelings, and Maria kindly offers to show Guy around another shed.
Can I go in?
Іди, я тебе туди зачиню, іди. Я тебе зачиню, тебе там не сидиш.
Hey, thanks very much. Lovely to meet you, lass.
Оставайся та живи у нас. Добрий син би був.
Hey, we'll do. We're going to leave you with these tools. I'll leave them next to your tractor.
Туди треба поставити же.
All right, sorry.
Туди
Put them in the sheds. All right, Duck. All right, Duck. All right, Duck.
The health effects of living in Chernobyl are unclear, but some medical studies suggest the trauma of relocation was more damaging than the radiation ever was. On average, those who stayed live a decade longer than those who moved away.
You're a rum lass. She's a rum lass, isn't she?
Guy's trip is over, but there is one last place he must visit. Chernobyl Hospital. The screening equipment in here is the only way exclusion zone workers and Guy can find out if they've ingested any radioactive particles.
Войдите.
Now then.
Присаживайтесь.
In here?
Присаживайтесь.
Okay.
Плотно прижмитесь к спинке.
Okay.
Фамилия.
Yeah, Guy.
The spectrometer chair detects the harmful isotope cesium-137 by scanning for gamma rays being emitted from within Guy's body. The process takes 180 seconds.
Все, можете вставать.
Okay.
Окей?
Спасибо. Спасибо. Thank
Пожалуйста.
you. Cheers.
He's clear.
Большое спасибо.
Chernobyl once again has defied expectations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm over the moon. Over the moon. I think we've had a true picture of the proper disaster zone. All right. Our Belgian photography man, we was on about him. Well, this is at the start of our trip, and he was getting quite emotional. And I thought, bloody hell, maybe I'm taking this the wrong way, maybe I'm at fault for thinking this is great. Look, you know, what the achievements that's gone on since the disaster. So anyway, we've had a week in there, and to be honest, it's more confirmed what I was thinking to start with. Yeah, there's a lot of amazing things going on. What an amazing place. Yeah, full of amazing people. Thank you. It's been great. What an experience. What an experience. Oh, yeah, I'd recommend it. I would recommend it.